Will Philippines get engulfed in flames if China invades Taiwan?
I think that is the immediate concern of the Philippines.
That US will get its own hands dirty? Will it come to the front, or do you feel it will keep arming other ASEAN countries and push them forward into the face of Chinese aggression?
The US would be willing to go in order to provide support to Taiwan.
China has conducted heavy war drills around Taiwan using air and naval assets, releasing visuals for it as well in a clear message to all stakeholders. But while one would have expected the US to take keen note of these actions along with Taiwan, it was the Philippines which came out swinging in its response. The Philippine military chief, General Romeo Brawner Jr., has warned his Filipino troops to prepare for war, saying Philippines' involvement will be inevitable if China invades Taiwan. He has made it clear that Philippine armed forces will be on the front lines if China makes any such attempt. Now, this statement has come just days after US approved the possible sale of F-16 fighter jets to Manila. Will US stand in the way of China's Taiwan endeavours, or will it arm ASEAN nations and push them in front of China instead? What is Philippines' stance going to be? Will it get embroiled in war? To discuss this further, I'm being joined on Game Plan by Lucio P. Pitlow the third. He joins me from Manila. He's a foreign policy and security analyst and research fellow of Asia Pacific Pathways to Progress Foundation. Sir, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining me here on Game Plan. Will Philippines get engulfed in flames if China invades Taiwan?
Thank you. Yeah, of course, because of the Philippines' location and also the fact that the country has a big community in Taiwan, over 250,000. So the concern about conflict and the impact of that on the country's security, especially on the northern theater, northern provinces of the Philippines, as well as the adverse fallout on our nationals living and working Taiwan. I think the priority of the government is the safety, the evacuation of its nationals. I think other ASEAN countries also have big communities in Taiwan, notably Indonesia and Vietnam. I think there would be some coordination among ASEAN countries in terms of how to repatriate their nationals should hostilities break out across the Taiwan Strait. I think that is the immediate concern of the Philippines, more of ensuring the evacuation of its nationals and, if need be, extending necessary humanitarian assistance.
Mr. Pitlow, the army chief for the Philippines, he mentioned that Philippines will be at the front lines if China makes any such attempt on Taiwan. Now, when we talk about front lines, even if it's to do with evacuations, and you just mentioned that Indonesia also has its nationals there, do you feel ASEAN nations, ASEAN countries will get embroiled in those flames on the front lines, even if they're there just for evacuations in a case of Chinese invasion of Taiwan?
Well, yeah, so the Philippine military chief made very bold, strong statement recently in relation to the drills undertaken by PLA around Taiwan. And of course, this comes, as you said, the context days after the visit of your Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, to Manila. And so certainly there's an angle to the strengthening of the Philippine-US alliance as a means to deter any attempts to change status quo in flashpoints from the South China Sea to the Taiwan Strait. I think the emphasis on the Taiwan Strait stems from the fact that, of course, this is the reddest of all the red lines for Beijing. And, of course, some estimates that the timetable for the attack could could draw near. And, of course, the capacity of China and also increasingly rhetoric that suggests the political will is there. So the concern on that part, which is just right across the north of the country, Philippines, is of course that may have prompted the statement. But as I said earlier, I think the priority would be the evacuation, safety, and welfare of its nationals. And I think the same goes for other ASEAN countries, to which they would coordinate with the Philippines, being the closest ASEAN country to Taiwan.
Mr. Pitlow, which ASEAN countries do you feel will get embroiled in any kind of tensions in this region? Because we've already seen several tensions erupting in the South China Sea, a lot of tensions there sparked by China and its ambitions in the region. When it comes to Taiwan, there are tensions there as well. How much of that and the tensions in the South China Sea will get mirrored in any kind of attempt on Taiwan? Which countries will get involved?
Well, I think ASEAN countries with big populations in Taiwan would, I think, take plans, and measures to ensure the safety and repatriation of their nationals. To that extent, I think they would coordinate with frontline countries, maybe Japan, the Philippines, due to the geographic proximity to Taiwan. And so I think there would be some coordination in terms of perhaps providing safe passage, maybe initial holding place for their nationals, from which maybe they can pick up their nationals as soon as their assets are mobilized. So I think initial coordination, providing a safe place for their nationals before they would eventually be repatriated back to the home countries, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Malaysia. So I think ASEAN is, of course, very worried about developments across the Strait because probably this can be more explosive than the South China Sea. And at the same time, the elements are already there. We have seen exercises taking place, not only the recent one, but simulations of blockade of the island that been well underway since the visit of former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taipei in 2022. And the pace and the intensity of those exercises only increased. So by sea and by air, the aircraft carrier deployment in the east of Taiwan, exercises in that area. So simulating a potential blockade, providing making it difficult for Taiwan to get external assistance should conflict break out.
Mr. Pitlow, as far as the US is concerned, do you think that US will get its own hands dirty? Will it come to the front, or do you feel it will keep arming other ASEAN countries and push them forward into the face of Chinese aggression?
Well, that remains to be seen. Of course, there's concern about the new leadership in the White House. Some say the transactional style of President Trump may bear on the conflict or on the contingency. So, to what extent U.S. would be willing to go in order to provide support to Taiwan, and of course for frontline countries like Japan and the Philippines, because of the proximity, the presence of its community in the island, they are of course more prone, more at risk, and at the same time, the presence of U.S. military troops and equipment in the northern part of the Philippines, as well as exercises in that area, may, to some, especially for some local leaders in those provinces, they have concerns that they may become fair game for retaliatory attacks from China should conflict break out, and if the Philippines will allow U.S. military troops to fly out of these locations to militarily intervene in Taiwan. So
Understood.
I think the concern on the part of the Philippines is growing because of the simmering tensions in the Taiwan Strait.
Mr. Pitlow, thank you so much for joining me here on Game Plan, sharing all your insights. There is a lot of analysis that this situation, of course, needs. You, with your expertise, have laid it out, what all this will entail, which all countries will get involved, and what the US role will perhaps be going forward. Lots to watch out for. Always a pleasure speaking with you. That was Mr. Lucio B. Pitlow III joining me on Game Plan.
Thank you.